Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alex Ray and Tam McManus here with me in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. If you get the chance, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and come and join the football family. Fantastic figures, great support from all of you. And if you fancy subscribing to PLZ Premium for additional content, competitions, prize giveaways, then you've got the chance to win 2 tickets to the Puskas Arena, the Champions League final. You and your pal will have flights and accommodation, 2 tickets to the final. All you have to do is make sure you're in the draw by subscribing to PLZ Premium. And a big thank you to Maggies.org. They're our chosen charity for the season. And if you want to, go to www.maggies.org to find out all the fantastic work and support they offer for anyone in your family affected by cancer. So, lots to talk about on the show today. Here's the results over the course of the weekend's football. Celtic 0, Hibs 0, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 3, Falkirk 0, St Mirren 1, Dundee 0, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0 and Livingston 1, Rangers 2. And Hearts out in front at the top of the table. But I think we'll start at Livingston because, boy, did they need the win, Alec Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. We was sat here last week talking about the importance of a good start in Europe. Obviously very disappointing. And but going into the Livingston game, there was a potential banana skin, and I thought in the first half, Peter, I thought they played very well. You know, could have added to the one that they got, the penalty. Majowski had a brilliant opportunity as well. So I thought the first half was, not too bad. However, Livingston in the second half I thought they were excellent, deservedly equalised as well. And then you think to yourself, well, here we go again. This is going to go from bad to worse. But they managed to scrape that win with a kind of forced opportunity. Unlikely source as well in Aaron's. We just swept at home. So overall, I think he'll be more relieved than anything else.
Yeah, the manager himself, Russell Martin, as you would expect when you get that win, just hopes it's now the line in the sand and they can push on from here.
I'd rather be 3-0 up at half time. But yeah, I think it could be a real big moment for us. Hopefully they'll feel really good about it in the dressing room. I enjoyed their celebrations together. And as I said to them, we deserve it, but we make it hard for ourselves. So the game is always open to interpretation. Mine is we were brilliant for 45 minutes. And then for 25 minutes in the second half, we showed so much character and resilience, and I'm really proud of them for that.
You've got to give a bit of balance on this, Ruffy. If you are critical of Russell Martin and his Rangers side when they're not getting wins, he's got the win. He's got that 3 points that he could possibly now use as motivation to say, look, we stuck in, we battled away, we got the points, this is what you can do, a wee bit of belief, take out the anxiety, which, again, he's mentioned on numerous occasions this team seemed to be suffering from.
Yeah, I think Alec hit it in the head the first 45 minutes. I thought they were superb. They're the best they've been this year. And then obviously the second half, and then Livingston get the goal, and that old bit comes in, then you see players starting to go, oh, here we go again, and you wonder whether they're going to dig themselves out of it. But they got the breaks. I think Livingston will be kicking themselves. I think the last 3 minutes of that extra time, the injury time, they had more than numerous occasion to get the ball up the park and just didn't deal with it at all, and all credit to Rangers. They kept going. And you will take it at the end of any game, if you get a goal late on like that. You have to give the players a pat on the back for saying, keep going.
Yeah, one man, as you would expect, who wasn't too happy with it all was Livingston boss David Martindale.
I feel we're a wee bit unlucky not to take something from the game. Maybe not beat them, but I think we were a wee bit unlucky not to take something from the game. Again, I need to stop talking about this, but it was a really, really soft free kick given away in the middle of the park. I just felt it seems to be happening quite a bit now with the bigger club. They kind of get every decision kind of falls in their favour.
Yeah, there you are. You get a peeved manager. He's not happy with it.
I think, as I said there, I think the defenders had themselves to blame. I think the boy had tried to have a clearance and nearly hit it out for a corner, instead of just putting it up the park.
Yeah.
And getting a bit of respite, and I mean, Alex was in a better stage than me. You've got to kill the game. You've got to sort of see the last couple of minutes out, but they never did that. So you feel a wee bit of sympathy for them, but you have to give credit to Rangers.
Yeah, the one thing that's not going away is, and I obviously don't want to use the expletives, but they are telling him where to go, whether it's a win or not. The fans are still not having him at the moment.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, Peter. I thought that was poor for the Rangers supporters. I know they don't want the manager there, but they've scored a last-minute goal. You know, the players are buzzing, the manager's buzzing, the fans should be buzzing. You've got a result. You know, and it seems as if there's a lot of Rangers fans. I was sitting with a couple watching the game, and they didn't even celebrate when the goal went in. They just thought they weren't bothered. I don't know if that's just apathy through a lot of Rangers supporters at the minute. They don't see any kind of progress, even winning games. It's just prolonging Russell Martin's reign at Rangers. But I thought it was poor when you're shouting that after the game, you know, screaming that towards the manager. And I'll just make the manager more determined, I think.
Yeah.
Keep getting it right and keep getting results.
They're screaming at him when he gets off the bus.
Yeah, as I said, he's getting pelters. And listen, I know the Rangers supporters are not happy, but you know, he's a human being. I just don't agree with the stick he's getting at the minute, Peter. And I think the only thing he can do is win games. He's got another game coming up in Austria during the week that he's got to win as well. But I thought, you know, you've won the game. There should be a euphoria after the game that you've won a football match in the last couple of minutes, and your first thought is to tell the manager to get to. I thought it was poor.
Yeah, strange times. Could have been worse. You've been playing for Europe at the Ryder Cup in New York. You're going to get more pelters there. But as far as the game and the nature of the game now, again, I'm not condoning abuse. It's part and parcel of it, and I think he seems very level-headed. It's not that he's being dismissive of the Rangers support. What he's trying to do is deflect away from the team and say, well, you know, I've just got to deal with it in my own way, and I'm not going to give you any back page headlines on it. You know, they're booing. I've just got to get on with it.
I don't think he can afford to focus on that anyway, because if he's focused on that, he's got enough on his plate with the results, the performances, the anxiety within his squad. So if he's focused with outside influences as well, Peter, and it can be brutal at times, I think he has to just keep his head down, just focus on the team. And then obviously, as Tam says, they've got a European game in midweek, and then obviously is it Falkirk next weekend, isn't it? So they'll need to just kind of try and tick away and try and get wins, because the only way this turns and change anyone's mind. Now, a lot of these fans will be stubborn and they'll double down on this, and they'll just say, we want a change. But the only way this guy's going to try and change the other percentage of the crowd are the ones that are still undecided, because it's still very early days. You know, when you think about the amount of people, the players that come into the club, he has to get that little bit of kind of balance between all this. Don't get caught up in it, and then focus on what he can control.
Well, on that point, you know, controlling the team and trying to get the best out of them and tinkering with them, do you have sympathy? Because he's now living in a period where there is no time for any manager these days, whether it's north, south of the border, right across Europe, globally. You know, you only have to look at, you know, Graham Potter, you know, bumped at the weekend and then replaced 48 hours later. There's no time.
No, I totally agree. One of the things that he keeps saying is we have to keep believing the process. The process has to accelerate, Peter, because you can't afford at Rangers to go one game, lose a game, draw a game and things. You need to gather momentum, and by momentum what happens is you shift the perspective onto the opposition. And if Celtic start dropping points like they did at the weekend, if you're on a 4 or 5 game run, we know how the city works, it's like a pendulum, and then you can bat it over the road. But at the moment it's just firmly at his door, and it's only through winning games can you then kick on and then try and kind of get some sort of parity, try and get some more fans back on board.
What was it like for you emotionally? Because it's different for Philippe Clement because he's not a Rangers fan.
Yeah, but Peter,
fan.
see the thing is, see this Rangers fan, whether you're a Rangers fan or whether you're the guy at because the thing is that he carries a can for everything. At that particular time there was no director of football, no CEO, you know, there was no chairman, so it was an actual mess. So he was a figurehead. So whether you're a Rangers fan or not, you're the guy that then gets the scrutiny. Every word that's said in the media is then kind of dissected as we do on a weekly basis. So the pressure's really on there whether you're a Rangers fan or not. Yeah. But I take your point on board because I've obviously got that emotional attachment to Rangers. But it was very, very difficult. You need a tin helmet. But I knew that when I come back. And it's interesting, when I first came back when I was 34, we had a really poor start. I think we drew up at Aberdeen, got beaten by Celtic, got knocked out of Europe by CSK Moscow. And the actual scrutiny, and it was tin helmet stuff, and you're going, oh my God, I've played nearly 600 games, I've never experienced pressure like that. So until you're in the firing line, it's non-stop, and it's every 3 days, Peter, at Rangers. So it's not as if you can go from Saturday to Saturday. You know, everybody's scrutinising every couple of days, you're fronted up at the media. Anything you're said out of turn, people are on it like a rash, depending on how results are. So results will dictate everything that's going on at Rangers and Celtic for that matter.
Yeah, what about the positives of the performance, Ruffy? Because, you know, much maligned as he is at times, you know, I think people will look back and say, okay, James Tavernier's career's come to an end. Let's see if we can find another 130 plus goals right back. Oh, that's going to be difficult. He scored a good goal at the weekend.
It was amazing. You know, you're looking at the build-up to that goal, and the ball goes wide and that, and all of a sudden the ball comes into the box and Tavernier's in there. And you're going, where did he come from? How did he get in there?
Ruffy, did you actually see his movement?
He followed it. He followed it.
But he actually burst into the box, and then it was obviously when he went back to the back post, he readjusts. But the actual, for his age, the desire to actually get in an area to score, I thought it was really impressive.
It was superb, you know. But it just shows you where Rangers are at this precise moment in time. If they hadn't been the way things are happening on the park, off the park, would you have seen celebrations like that at the end of a 2-1 win against Livingston? Ordinary.
Well, it just shows
you, you know, it just shows you the pressure that everybody's in, and to get a win like that, you're going to celebrate it.
Okay, slight negative penalty. Before he actually took it, I'm sitting there, and you know how you always with your mates, you always like to call the penalty where he's
left,
going to
right.
put it. So I'm going, keeper's top right. That's his favourite place. Top right, keeper can't save it, and he goes down. He goes down the middle with the worst penalty I've seen him taking in a long time.
Yeah, you expect him to score that, Peter. He's got a great record at penalty kicks. And I was just listening to the radio when I was coming home, but yeah, as the guy said, you know, he's a phenomenal goal scoring record for a right back. Penalties, you'd put your hat on him, but you know, going back to the other the goal disallowed, I thought that was a right call for the referee. I thought that controlled it with his hand. Was it Cornelius and he put it in?
Yeah.
And I thought the referee got most of the decisions right, but yeah,
John Beaton.
I thought Rangers' first half were excellent, as the guys have touched on. I thought they played really, really well. Second half, they came out and it was like a totally different team. And Livingston came out and really got on top of it. But you know, as Alex said, they just won the game, 2-1, got up the road, take another game off and go to the next game. That's all Rangers and Russell Martin can do at the minute. Just keep winning week by week. Yeah,
interestingly enough, and it's only right and proper that I should read out some of the points on this one. Brian Spence says, it should have been 3-0 in the first half. Then Rangers never came out for the first half hour of the second half. A relief, but a hard watch in the second half. Rangers are still weak at the back.
I would just say, I think, I mean, I analyse every goal they lost, but if you shut your eyes, you think any ball that comes into the box, it's a wee bit of panic. You know, okay, they get caught underneath that one at the weekend there, but it seems to be good deliveries into the box, and there are a lot of good deliveries going into the box. Sometimes it's very difficult to defend them, but they don't seem to be defending the quality ball into the box very well.
That's one of the bugbears for me, Peter.
Yeah.
Not stopping the ball coming into the box. I think it was far too easy that he actually delivers that in, and then he just peels off the back of John Souttar, I think it was.
Yeah, but I mean, initially, and I think of some of the really good teams, or the methodical teams that have been put together over the last 25 years, Celtic and Rangers, and that is the basics.
Yeah, stop at source.
You know, stop the ball coming into the box. I mean, I think if you think of Walter and you think of Martin O'Neill, I used to watch them go tonto at the side of the pitch. You know, because quite simply, when that ball's over on those flanks, Tam, you know, close them down. Don't give them the space. Don't give them the chance to shift to put that ball into the box. That was.
Yeah, that's a fullback's should be their first job, is to stop a cross coming in, but now it's not. In the modern day, it's can you get forward, can you create, can you score goals, get crosses in. Whereas 15, 20, 25 years ago, fullback's main job was stop the winger getting by you, stop the winger crossing the ball in. So yeah, it's totally changed now, Peter, and it was a great ball in from Montgomery in swinger, you know, a great ball in, but Alex, right, you've got to stop the ball coming in.
It's very difficult. Tam, you obviously played up front, so see the thing is, ideally, like, if you're a centre half, you would want to try and get some sort of contact with the boy that's scoring goal, you know, for him to actually not...
Just peeled off the back.
That's what I'm saying, so you need contact with him, so you know when he moved, then you can then get some sort of contact to try and get him off balance. Yeah. Free header from that distance, that'll be a concern.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you filled with optimism about the you know, having then to try and go and lift it again for Europe?
Yeah, well listen, the European games, it may well help them as well that they're away from home. You know, might be better suited in the transition. So again, they'll need to try and get the campaign up and running, because you don't want to lose your first couple of games.
Yeah, we'll talk about the European game shortly, but it was a 2-1 win for Rangers. Give us your thoughts on it. Quite a viewpoint from our live feed is that it's a stay of execution for Russell Martin. He's still not winning over the hardcore of the Rangers support. They want change, but the general feeling is he's going to get the time. You know, and if each result like that just buys him a bit more.
Yeah, well, we haven't heard the owner coming out and saying anything otherwise. You know, it seems to be Russell has meetings with the owner, as you do, and he seems to be giving the reassurances. You know, the owner seems to be strong enough to put the boo into the back burner and just say, look, carry on, get us wins, get us on a run. And that's what he has to do.
Yeah. By the way, Hearts are top of the table. We're going to talk about them shortly because, quite simply, Celtic slipped up at home against Hibernian. This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say about the silence that was going on. The Celtic fans certainly not happy with it. I can only focus on the football. That's the challenge for me at the moment, to give the supporters the belief that we will continue to improve. And I think they would have liked that performance. Obviously, they would have loved to have won the game. And I want people to be coming away and talking about the football and the performance rather than the protests and the silence. After the 12th minute, you felt the support and the lift, which can make all the difference. What is this? By the way, I'd have to tell you, the slight technical hitch there over. I thought it
was end of the road, sort of railway.
You know what I was waiting on the curtains coming across, and then Alec was a great lad. You know, tributes are trickling in.
Wasn't hooked up with your Wi-Fi.
So hopefully you can see our backdrop is now working. Slight technical hitch there, but. Silence. I mean, I applaud Celtic fans, any fans who've got the right to be within reason without being abusive, the right to show their protest. I just can't see where this is going, this silence. What does it change? Because this board is not going to give them anything. They will not say a thing to them.
No, they're not going to move aside. There's no doubt about that. The only thing you hope would get through is, look, don't make a mess of it in January. If Brendan Rodgers wants players in, get it organised. Shows that you're listening to what we're saying. Shows you're listening to the protests. Shows that it's getting through to you. And I think that's the only thing they're going to get, because there's not one of them going to walk away. So they have to get it right in January.
They had chances, Celtic. I mean, they dominated.
Yeah, barrel load. Yeah, I actually thought they were really impressive, Gordon. Peter, the way that they shift the ball, the way they get in behind teams, the way they flash it across the goals, they have a variation of phases of play which actually carved the opposition up. The only thing that will be disappointing for him was they on the day, Iheanacho's chance is just gilt edge, really, isn't it, when it comes round the face. But I think overall, in terms of the performance, it's a very typical Celtic performance, very dominant with the ball possession and created. They just weren't clinical on the day. But I think if you continue to play in the manner that they do, they will win more games than not.
Yeah, you know what I'm like with you, because I've worked with you for such a long time as well. But Gordon Duncan's 5 stone lighter than me, right? He only kicked with 1 foot. I know. He's very easy to mark out of a game. There's a big difference between the two of us, by the way. In the trenches, if somebody was,
I'm coming for you, all right.
If somebody was in Denniston, right? If there's 2 boys in Denniston and they're battering lumps out of you,
right,
who do you want to save you?
I know.
Is it Gordon Duncan from Radio
it's you. Because you're here, I'm saying sure. I just had a brain freeze here.
Do you know what this reminds me of, by the way? Remember the day we were on this TV and he was in the studio and we're just about to come back from a break and he goes, and he tried, and the two of us, and you get caught. And the two, Ruffy and I went, what are you fixing your hair for? You haven't got any hair. What are you doing?
You've got some memory, man.
Oh, honestly, as soon as he said that, I thought to myself, can you believe him after all we've been through? Anyway, what did you make of the Hibbies?
Listen, I think they got what they went for, Peter. I think when you look at Hibs over the last, I've been watching most of their games. I watched all of them all season, basically, and the goals they've lost have been terrible. Against Falkirk during the week, lost 2 poor goals. I always felt they were going to go to Parkhead and shut up shop and just say, break us down. They probably watched the game during the week, Celtic against Red Star Belgrade, and Celtic didn't break them down. The Kyrat Almaty games, they couldn't break them down at Parkhead. So I just think Hibs just used that template to try and break them down. I thought Grant Hanley was outstanding. I thought the goalkeeper was outstanding. I thought Bowie up front was outstanding. You know, done a lot of unseen donkey work and was good at set plays against. So, no, I think it's a great point for Hibs. You know, you're starting to get concerned if Hibs go there and get beat again. You're thinking, we've only won one game this season. But, you know, I think it's 6 games, 5 draws, 1-1. So unbeaten. So, obviously a big game coming up against Hearts at the weekend. But I thought Celtic first half should have been 2 or 3 up, no doubt about that. Second half, I thought the substitutions that Celtic made them weaker. In the last 20 minutes, usually you look at a game and you go, Celtic will break them down, Celtic will score. I never got that feeling with Celtic for the first time in a wee while. I thought, I fancy Hibs to see this out here, and they did.
Yeah.
Because we're bringing, no disrespect, guys like Johnny Kenny, James Forrest on. You're just thinking, it's not like for like now with Celtic. They're weaker when they bring the substitutions for me.
And that front three, the way he set them up, Iheanacho middle, Maeda right.
Yeah, I actually said that last week. I thought that's what you might have done. I thought Maeda was more lively, definitely in the first half. You know, playing down that side. Balikwisha come on again was poor, Peter. You know, and you can sense a wee bit of frustration for the Celtic fans already towards him.
Yeah.
You know, he's not doing it.
I don't think he's got a trick.
No, he's too safe, Peter. And as a wide player, you know, if you're 1v1, just go at him. He seems to be just coming back inside. I don't know if he's lacking confidence at the minute, Peter. And you do that as a forward player or a wide player. If you've not got confidence, you're not trying to make a mistake. And he needs to be more positive, I think, going forward.
Here's the thing that kind of does my head in, and you will be able to comment on this from the way the players that you played with, and the message, and I think this is the most important thing, which is the message from the manager, which is basically your safe midfielders who play it square. And then you've got the guy who gets the ball and he looks up and he goes, well, I'm not going to commit, I'm not going to push forward and try and get a 2-on-1 in a sensible position.
An overload, yeah.
Yeah, so what you get a situation where they go for safe balls or they play the ball back. In contrast to that, I don't know what Jens Bertholasco was saying to the Motherwell players, but when they get the ball, automatically forward.
Play forward, run forward.
Yes.
That's it, Peter. And it is, you're absolutely right, and that's a real frustration for me these days, because a lot of players are all possession based, and the teams with the intensity play forward. You know, you look at Callum McGregor over his tenure at Celtic, he loves to just get the ball, he ticks it, keeps it, moves it, gets to the other side, looks to penetrate. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and they're invaluable, these guys, but then you also need the runners as well. So if you can get the players, because it's not just in possession where you think I'll just keep possession, but you've got to make unselfish runs, you've got to be brave runs, running in behind, unselfish, so then someone else can release you. So I agree with you. I think there's a lot of players are safe at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the other thing, Ruffy, which we also discussed just ahead of the games at the weekend, was it was a stonewall certainty Hibs were going to drop Rocky Bashiri, because I think...
Didn't drop him,
he had to go back to...
He'd a birth for a child in France.
Well,
he wasn't dropped.
He might have been dropped. We said we...
It was a blessing.
Yeah.
No harm to him, because he's a certain level of defender, but I think when you come up against quality teams, you're looking, I think he's prone to a mistake. And Hanley just came in and blocked everything.
Yeah, he's not as disciplined as Hanley. You know, he seems to chase the game. He wants to make great tackles. You know, he got that robust thing about him. But in the last 2 or 3 games, he has been posted missing. You know,
like Hanley.
Goals.
Like Hanley, Biggie.
I think Hanley's good if it's depending what style of play the other team's playing. At the weekend the weekend it suited him, because just as you've said there, Celtic get the ball wide, you know it's coming in.
Of course, yeah.
You know it's coming in near post, or you know it's getting flashed across, and he's got the experience to read these situations. I think Bashiri was the last 2 games, wasn't he? Wasn't he picking up and he was getting caught away? He was one of these guys, centre halves, who don't want to be away out wide, and he was getting caught out wide far too many.
Yeah. What about this point here, which is SK says Rangers are a point behind Hibs, and yet Hibs are still getting praise for the start to the season. It's a great way you can. It's a great
That's
way
how you spin it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic way. Plus, of course, expectation as well here. You know, there was a wee bit of what I would say was people looking and say, "Wait a minute, Hibs. You know, you've got a lot of praise, but you know, you went out of Europe. You need to start producing for all the expectation that's surrounding them."
Yeah, I think obviously with Hearts doing so well as well, it just adds more pressure.
Compounds it.
It compounds it. In my opinion, a poor start to the season for Hibs. You know, I've seen them in the European games. You watched them as well. They were excellent. You're thinking Hibs can go and do something this season. You know, go and challenge for third or possibly even second. You know, and losing the 2-goal lead at Falkirk during the week, there was, I wouldn't say pressure on the manager, but there was a few Hibs supporters mumbling about him. So I think that they go there, they get a great point. They've got another massive game coming up at the weekend at Tynecastle. So yeah, I think if Hibs can keep that defensive shape and that discipline at the back, they've always got goals in them. Obviously by the weekend they've had a tough game, but Hibs have been scoring a lot of goals this season and creating chances, but they've been poor at the back. So if they can go to Tynecastle and put in a similar performance defensively, they can go and get a result.
Yeah, the interesting thing that you mentioned is a throwaway line there. You know, when we're talking about people going silent, and something's got to change in the attitude and the strategy of the Celtic board. I don't know if there's any expectation on either side, Celtic or Rangers, to go deep into these competitions, because although I think Europa League is their level, I don't see anything that suggests to me long term. You've got a disgruntled manager, you know, peeved that he didn't get the players he wanted.
Yeah.
You've got another manager just fighting for his life. And Celtic have got Braga next.
I would imagine that Celtic would think they could go to the later stages with the personnel and see
Which members of Celtic? The manager?
I would just think, as a club and the money that they've spent in the last year, you would like to think that they could compete with teams that they're coming up against. Now, obviously, that transfer window in the summer there was probably not as well as they would have expected. See if they can get through to the kind of the playoff game, or even, you know, the top 8 will be a tough ask for them to get an automatic bye there. But see if they can get through and then they add a couple in January. I don't think that's beyond Celtic's realms. Do you not think? To try and take the top 24 of this?
His point is, by the time you get to January, they've got to back the manager. They won't back the manager in January, because what the board will say is, oh, January, tough window, can't get the players.
No, yeah, but the thing is, then you've also got how do the fans then react to that? Another kind of barren window. They maybe go and get, because Celtic have often went down to the Premier League and nicked a
lone player.
A lone player. You know, they've done that over the years, but
somebody who's sitting gathering dust on the bench.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, they'll get, like, the Raheem Sterling's been mentioned. Obviously, he's on 300 grand, but you know, if you could maybe pay 10 grand towards it.
Yeah. You know, I was actually just going to say, come on, Alan.
No, well, I'm telling you, you think I'm joking, didn't you? We paid £6,000 towards a player who was on 128 grand a week.
That is magnificent.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn, that's the truth. 6 grand towards 128 a week. And we got the boy. And we also had a sidekick.
Are you talking at Rangers? No, another club.
No, I was at Reading, and then we also had another player from Chelsea as well. He was on 55. We had a ceiling of 6 grand. That's all we could pay. So 12 grand for the both of them, and I think it worked out 180 grand a week they were pocketing.
And just out of curiosity, when you were sitting on the bench,
I'll let him get back. He's driving away in his Bentley convertible.
When you were sitting on the bench and he's thinking, he's playing well for 6 grand, doesn't he? Aye. Did he look like a 128 grand player?
Peter, I can't speak highly enough about him. He was absolutely tremendous, a boy.
What was his name?
It was Danny Drinkwater.
Wow,
Danny Drinkwater. Yeah. You know, won the Premier League.
Yeah,
and he was brilliant. His attitude was excellent. Done a really good turn for us. And then we actually tried to get him the following summer, but it never quite materialised.
And the 55 grand player?
Steady away.
Yeah.
It's funny how you said Bentley convertible there.
Yes.
I remember a Rangers Celtic game we were at Ibrox, and we were standing at the railings across the road.
Aye.
And the wee boy that was playing with Rangers that came for Hearts came out in his Bentley convertible.
In black? Aye.
Yeah. What a memory you've got for that, Ruffy.
It's incredible. That's where all the heavy hitters stand outside Ibrox. That's where Ruffy is.
That was getting out of the road.
He's got your mini metro.
Can I also tell you, Billy, big time here, because his wife reviews cars, he'd come up and chat to the door one day and says, come on, we'll go to a junior game to see Les Mahigo, and he came up in a Bentley convertible.
Is that right?
I mean...
Well, obviously it wasn't mine.
We
got a puncture. We got a puncture. We went Les Mahigo Junior Scottish Cup tie. I'm just getting there and we got a puncture. I says to the wife, what happens now is the boy jump out of the boot and fix it.
For the money.
180 grand.
But I can't see, just on that point, Ruffy, Celtic Braga, well within the realms, as Alex says, to mention it, but do you see I think Rangers and... I think, if I'm going to be honest about it, there's more chance of Brendan Rodgers getting something out of the Celtic side, as you say, to get some good scalps along the way. I wonder about Rangers. They don't have any credentials. This squad. This is a completely changed Rangers side.
No, but I think like we saw last year, the way this new competition is structured. If you win your 3 home games and get a point away from home, you're there or thereabouts. You know, you're up there.
Yeah.
You know, so your home games are really, really important. And you have to say Rangers and Celtic, if they're playing particularly well, the teams that they're coming up against, they should have a good chance of winning them at home.
Okay, let's talk about the champions, Hearts.
Okay, his face.
Jam your chest. They're top of the table. 3-0 win over Falkirk. And by the way, our reporter Cara was there. She said they looked impressive.
Yeah, I've seen the highlights last night, Peter, and is it Kirzidis, the winger? Kirzidis. He looks a real find. Him and Braga just playing off of Shankland. You know, legs, energy, and Shankland looks rejuvenated under Derek McManus as well. Took his goal well, so Hearts are flying, gone really well. Good experienced squad. Owners come in, everything he touches, Tony Bloom, turns to gold. You know, so if you're no a Hibs fan, if you're a Celtic Rangers fan, you're thinking Hearts might actually do something, but they've got to keep it up, got to sustain it. Got a big game at the weekend against Hibs, but comfortable win, deservedly so. Derek McManus showing everyone that he's a top manager. You know, I think there was a few Rangers supporters turned their nose up at him, potentially going to Rangers. Turned their nose up at Long Shankland, potentially going to Rangers. Look at them now. You look where Rangers are now. So I think both of them would have been excellent for Rangers. But in terms of Hearts, their fans will be getting excited now if they could beat Hibs at the weekend.
Yeah, and of course, Derek's well aware that everybody's waiting for them to fall.
I don't think so. As I said before, you'll get maybe a lot of people hoping that somebody can go in and do something. But the majority of people out there, they want us to get beat. And I'm all right with that. They don't want Hearts to. They want Hearts put in their place. Everybody who's used to doing certain things and winning games, and nobody really, I don't think, genuinely believes we can mount a challenge. And for us, it's all about just dealing with the games.
Exactly. Somebody's mentioned that there's no disgrace coming here and, you know, getting beat 3-0 under the circumstances that Hearts are kind of flying, you know, and we'll not be the first or the last. But yeah, we have to learn and we have to dust ourselves down, and then we move on and we get ready for the Rangers game next Sunday. Yeah, they've got a couple of games to play, you know, tomorrow and then on Thursday, and we'll welcome them to Falkirk Stadium next Sunday.
Yeah, no disgrace in losing to Tynecastle from John McGlynn's perspective. We'll talk about Falkirk's predicament in a moment, but as far as Derek McInnes is concerned, he's got, from the couple of games that I've watched him as well, Ruff, he's got game changers from the bench.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And there, somebody gave me the team sheet for the weekend, and I was looking at it. Yeah, they have. They've got game changers. Game changers at Hearts' level, yeah, that they never had before. But certainly I'll let no leg you, but for me, Harry Millen has been absolutely sensational. You know, we'd Harry at Thistle, and Derek's moved him into a wide. An advanced wide, and he's getting forward, and he's actually drifting in. And I don't know if he just gave him a free licence, but he's certainly playing to his strengths, and he's been focal to a lot of the stuff that Hearts have done.
Yeah, are you impressed with him?
Very much so. I like the additions. You know, I think there's at the top end of the pitch you want guys that can do a bit of magic. Peter, the goal that boy scored at the weekend, coming in off that left hand side and then wrapping that into the top corner. I like what Shankland's doing. I actually think he's matured into a really good centre forward. I think he's always at goals, but his intelligence, bringing people into play, and if you've got legs at either side of him, the boy Braga looks a real find as well. And it's interesting because when you think about this, Tony Bloom, you know, kind of unearthing people from nowhere. They seem to have managed to do that over the course of that last transfer window. How's that going to look in January as well? I think the next 3 games, Hibs, Kilmarnock away, and then Celtic will be a real good yardstick to see where this Hearts team is going to go.
Well, interestingly enough, and I'm glad you mentioned the games that they've got coming up, because the only team that I've watched this season that's given them an absolute doing is Motherwell. And they passed them off the park. And then obviously Derek made the changes to try and bring them back into it and get the draw. But while we're complimenting every one of the guys that provides the flair, Tam, he's had a settled back four. Sometimes he shifts Milne into the midfield because he's got Kingsley as an option there if he's making substitutions. But the 2 central defenders have been something that's a solid for him. He's got Halkett in there. you know, sitting there and he's producing, he's avoiding the injury, and he's also got his central midfield, Stuart Finlay, who is a steady Eddie.
Yeah, I think he was a great signing for Hearts, Stuart Finlay. I've always liked him. Very, very strong centre half, and I think him and Halkett have got a good partnership at the back. And as I said, Halkett's always been a good footballer for me. You know, he's been quick, he reads the game well, but he's been crippled with injuries, really. You know, it's really affected his career. But yeah, they look solid at the back. Another clean sheet at the weekend. And Tynecastle's an intimidating place to go and play. You know, if you put teams under pressure early, you get the early goal, it's very difficult place to go and get results. So, as Alex said, the next 3 games, you know, if they can go into that Celtic game still top of the league, you know, and welcome Celtic at home, I think, after the international break, then you go and win that, then people will be start talking to them about them as title contenders.
Are you going into the game and, you know, at the weekend with a bit of fear? Tynecastle, Hearts at home.
No,
I'm not,
Peter.
Fear?
No fear. I think that Hibs are capable of going there and getting the result. You know, Hibs have had a decent record against Hearts over the last couple of seasons. It's turned a wee bit. You know, always goes swings and roundabouts, but I'm confident Hibs can go there. I think Hibs have got every bit as good a squad as Hearts.
Yeah, you think they'll win?
No, I think it'll be a draw.
Okay.
He just he built it up there.
What happens is, and sometimes this happens, and you'll not be aware of this.
Ruffy's rubbing off me.
Sometimes Ruffy will have a drink, and he puts it down at the wrong position, and whatever he's got in the drink, he drinks it. So what they do is they build a team up, and then they go, no, I think they'll get pumped. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where I'll be honest with you, I've been impressed. I've gone through the Easter Road. I've watched them. I've been impressed with them. Sometimes a wee bit of, you know,
a cracking game, Peter.
It's going to be brilliant. I mean, I'm looking at them thinking to myself, all geared up. If Hearts win this, suddenly
both unbeaten.
They all go. They really crank it up, don't they? He's got to. He's got to go and win this game, and then I still think he's got to go and take Celtic as a scalp before anybody takes them seriously.
Yeah, I think. Well, listen. Ideally, if that was the case, then they would actually be further ahead, and then there would be real belief within that squad. And it'd be interesting because we obviously mentioned Celtic in the January window. It'd be interesting to see if Tony Bloom would try and kind of unleash a couple of other players who would maybe complement them in January.
Can you imagine the Jambos or 6 points clear? I mean, they're already at this moment
9
clear of Rangers.
Yeah. No.
So you're saying to yourself, can you imagine they were enough clear that suddenly you get, never mind Tony Bloom, just go to James Anderson and say, listen, I know you're a billionaire, any chance, you know, you're a Jambo, let's have a real go here. You know, to actually end something that goes back to 1985.
Peter.
We have seen it, yes.
And last season we've seen it.
Yeah.
With Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Well,
they collapsed.
But Aberdeen are no Derek McInnes and Hearts side, are they?
No. But at that particular, if we went back a year ago, you'd have been going, my God, they can go because they were obviously producing great results against.
Yeah, but did you think they could go the business?
No, and I'll be honest with you, I don't see this either. Genuinely, no, I don't see it. I think it would be refreshing.
Aberdeen side, because I think managers and assistants like yourself and scouts can look at. I looked at Aberdeen, I thought to myself, well, there's 4, there's the 2 older guys holding in the midfield, there's the 3, there's these 1. They'll quickly work them out, and then they'll steam in on them, because that's what good coaches and managers do. They look at a team and a manager's tactics and say, okay, they've won 11 games on the trot, how can we stop them?
Yeah.
And that's what good coaches do.
Absolutely. Listen, so see, the thing is as well with the Hearts situation, there'll be people doing that with Hearts at the moment, and how they can do that. They'll have to go through pretty much unscathed as well. I think that'll be a factor in terms of squad depth. You know, we've already mentioned Halkett. It's great to see him back because he has had a torrid time with injuries. Stuart Finlay's had a wee bit of over the piece as well. When he was at Kilmarnock, he's had the odd injury. So if they can keep him all unscathed, and then you have that kind of continuity, then you have a real chance to keep ticking along, keep getting results. But as I said, I think the next couple of weeks, I think we also get excited because it's such a brilliant start for them, and because Rangers have kind of, I wouldn't say tailed off, but because they're so far off the pace, people start thinking that's the next challenge. But for me, Celtic are always the yardstick.
Yeah. Ruffy? I
think we're all
excited as Tam.
No, because I think when Hibs defended particularly well at the weekend there, but they're not going to be. I wouldn't like to think they'll be doing that in Tynecastle. I think they'll try and win the game, and I just feel when they try and win the game, spaces start creating, you know, and they start losing goals as they did against Motherwell when they were charging forward. So it has had to be disciplined. But as we spoke about it early on, I think at this moment in time, I think Hearts have got more match winners than Hibs.
Yeah, Aurora says, I hope Hearts keep it up, sick and fed up of Celtic winning the league every year. Yeah, so is Alec. So he's sharing your feelings on this, and I think Aurora is a Dons fan.
There you go.
But nevertheless, you think it's going to be
Hearts, yeah.
You think it'll be Hearts?
Yep.
That's unusual for you, Ruffy.
You think Hearts will beat Hibs at weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. What about you, Alec?
I'll go for a draw.
Yeah. Okay. 2 scales on your arses, you two. You're really great in the predictor. Okay. If Hearts are not going to win it, Ruffy, let's talk about the other champions, Motherwell, because they managed to, in the most dramatic of fashions, heap the pressure on Jimmy Thelin. I said on Friday we could be in the great sack race. So suddenly Russell Martin survives. Does this guy?
Again, it'll be the owner. You know, there'll be what kind of relationship he's got with the manager. You know, everybody have been saying, look, you've sacked the previous managers far too quickly. He might be saying to himself, well, maybe I need to give this guy a wee bit more time. Obviously, the Scottish Cup win gives him that wee bit. The record that keeps getting thrown up, if it did anybody else, he wouldn't be there.
5 wins in 33 league games.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the game at the weekend, and you have to say that game could have went either way. You know, there wasn't much between the two teams. I think if Aberdeen had taken their chances, they might have got it. And I think the manager would be standing at the side going, well, okay, it's nothing each, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
You know, let's just get out of here with a point and quell the sort of anxiety. And then the goal, God, I don't know what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, Ruffy, one of your old teammates. I said to Ken Dalglish one day, I said, do you remember that brilliant goal you scored against Belgium? I mean, his first goal against Belgium was a raker, but his second goal was world class. Into him, in his feet, turns round, and then bends it with his other foot into the top corner. And I remember saying to Kenny, what a goal that was. And Ken Dalglish said to me, what did he say, Ruffy?
I think he thought the defence had let him down.
No, that's a Stonewall Saturday. Do you know what he said, Ruffy? Yeah, we lost. And it was Kenny's way of saying, so what? It's a great goal. Doesn't matter. We lost. And at the end of the day, this guy's record is absolutely abysmal. And you can have all the great performances you want, but as Kenny Dalglish's point at the time was, when you look at the scoreline in the history books, it doesn't say, by the way, they played really
well that day. No, listen, ultimately, it's about results. And I actually watched parts of this game. I was in a little watering hole at the top end of West Nile Street, and when I actually seen the goal in which the keeper had an absolute nightmare at, I thought it's typical of a team that are really struggling that a goal like that results in another defeat.
Yeah.
I think in general, no, that's interesting because the board have to step back and go, has this guy lost the dressing room? Are we not seeing enough of him performances? But when you actually look at the chances that they carved out within the game, they just didn't have that killer touch at the top end of the pitch. Otherwise, they could have got quite comfortable at periods.
Have you ever been part of a team when things aren't going particularly well, and the owners actually bring the experienced players in to get their view on what's happening away from the game?
I think that's today they're called a kind of management group now or something, committee. Yeah. So that's very much a thing. But I think over the piece when we were there, they would collar 1 or 2 senior players and go, right, okay, what's the state of play in the dressing room and things. Players that the manager could lean on and respected, they would try and get a flavour of the dressing room. I don't get the impression that the Aberdeen team have down tools for this guy yet. I genuinely don't get that feeling when I see the performance at the weekend where they're creating chances, they're still fighting for them, but ultimately the results have to improve.
Well, I'm led to believe that in one of the games, the manager just came out of the dressing room, shut the door and let Graham Shinnie rip into them.
Possibly. Listen, I agree with the guys. I don't think there's a lot wrong with Aberdeen at the minute. They're just not getting a wee break of the ball rub of the green. They're making mistakes. The goalkeeper cripples them. It's similar to David Gray last season. You know, with Hibs, I know David obviously had a wee bit more credit in the bank with the Hibs supporters because of what he done as a player, but I don't think there's a lot wrong with Aberdeen at the minute. You just need a win for somewhere. I don't see it coming in. Is it Wednesday or Thursday they play Shakhtar Donetsk? I don't think they're going to beat them, but I think Dave Cormack's over. He was planning to come over anyway, so there's a lot of conjecture, him coming to the game. I think if they take a heavy one against Shakhtar, then that might influence it, but at the minute, you know, I thought if they were going to sack him, if anything was going to happen, it'd probably been done today, but it looks as if they're going to carry on with him.
Yeah, and the manager himself, no surprise, Jimmy Thelin still thinks he can turn it around.
I never think about these kind of things because it's some things I never can control. I have always tried to talk with them daily, so we know where we are, and honest conversations, but it's not my job to talk about myself. I have a strong conviction we can turn this around, but this is not for me.
It's not a relief, it was a joy, and I enjoyed it. It's not like I've been extremely nervous that it wouldn't come. So it doesn't feel like a relief at all. It feels like joy, happy for the players, happy for the fans, happy for the staff, and I will probably also myself, when I lie down on the pillow tonight, fall asleep with a little smile on my face.
Yeah, Ruffy, have you ever laid down on the pillow with a smile on your face?
No, it's
a brilliant line, isn't it? Isn't it? It's a great line.
Interesting one. With me, I'd probably half cut. If I'd got that one, that's why I'd be smiling in my pillow. But no, they seem two similar managers. These two, they seem to just taking it in their stride. They're not getting excited. They're not, they're just trying to take every game as it comes. But I mean, he mentioned the owner there, which he hadn't done before. They always like to say, I'm in touch with the owner, and I've not had any bad vibes for him. But I think what he got away with at the weekend was the performance. I think the performance was good, the result was bad. And if you see that players are putting in a performance and they're trying their best, then sometimes that gives you a wee bit of leeway.
Well, I mean, also we've got to put it into perspective as well. When the boy Mitov lets the goal in, Alec, I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, what can the manager do about that? I mean, just see, your head sinks, because at that point when he let the goal in, the only thing that was going through my head is, you possibly have just got the manager the sack.
Is that what you thought?
I thought when the ball hits the back of the net and he's made that absolute blunder, I thought, the statistics don't lie, Alec. They can't score a goal.
That's right. Well, they haven't scored in 9. Good point, Tam. There we were looking at the stats, but the interesting thing about that, Peter, see, when I thought about that, I was like, that type of incident for me is conducive to a team that are struggling. Not that the manager was going to lose his job. My automatic thought was, that's just conducive of what you're actually watching, because they've actually done okay. The games went, you could have won it, but then you just see a keeper just getting it all badly wrong, and then ultimately they take nothing for the game.
Yeah, and the second one goes in at the tail end of it, and then you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm looking at Shakhtar Donetsk, haven't lost in 7, won 5 games, 2 points clear at the top of the Ukrainian league. Now, they're not the force they once were, because, in the last, 10, 15 years, I think I've been in the Donetsk stadium a couple of times, and boy, could they call on some big players from Brazil. I mean, they had a few right tasty players, but they're still playing at a better level, and I can see Aberdeen taking a tanking.
Yeah, listen, I think if you're an Aberdeen fan, you're not getting into it full of confidence. Or an Aberdeen player, they're obviously a well-known name in European football, and they'll go in there, they'll be favourites to win the game, but I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Aberdeen in this game. I think everyone's expecting Shakhtar to go and wipe the floor with them, like you say, and Aberdeen can maybe play a wee bit.
Could it free them up, Tom?
I think so. I think you can go and play freely. If I'm in that situation, and I'm sitting bottom of the league at a club like Aberdeen and we're playing Shakhtar Donetsk, everybody expects us to get pumped.
I'm waiting in the
score. You can get out and you can play well, so I'm going to go for
6-0 Shakhtar.
He was building it up, wasn't he?
Keep it 3.
Yeah. The thing is, and this is the key to it all, when you...
The game at the weekend after it's the bigger game.
Dundee
at home.
Dundee at home, St Mirren away, AEK Athens away, and then you get Hibs and Kilmarnock, and that takes you out of October. And I look at it and I'm saying to myself, Dave Cormack might come in for this one, and you're right, he might take it as a free hit. But once you get to the point where you're looking at the league games and you start to say to yourself, our whole mindset and season now needs to be, can we get away from the playoff positions? Can we even get into the top 6? That's when it becomes a point where the chairman and the chief executive has to say, this is to the detriment of the club. And by the way, I think he's in 9 lives.
Yeah. I think listen, it's a very good point in which you make. And as you said, Shakhtar's a free hit for me. I think on Sunday, and I'll go in early here, I'm going to build it up and I'm going to back it up. I think Aberdeen will beat Dundee at the weekend.
You're not exactly pushing yourself right out in 11.
No, we're not. But the thing is, it might be you're talking about that distance. So all of a sudden you're up to 4 points. It was at a point behind Falkirk. So then you're dragging in 5 or 6 clubs. So it doesn't quite look what it looks like at the moment, tailed off.
You reckon he can do what Russell Martin effectively is doing, buy himself time?
Well, the thing is, the good thing about actually getting to there, then you can start looking up the way Peter is. It currently stands at the moment. They've got nothing to cling on to. No goals, 1 point. It's been a really abysmal start.
It's a strange situation, Ruffy, but both these managers find themselves in an unbelievable situation where, they're trying to convince, everybody that they can turn it around, And Russell Martin certainly made a step in the right direction with a game, albeit against Livingston, but this guy, I think, is under a wee bit more pressure. If I was looking at the two of them and saying who was the favourite, at the weekend, for a chairman or a chief executive to say enough is enough, I would probably have said Jimmy Thelin was more in the firing line.
This weekend?
No, last weekend. I thought,
no, I think you've got. I think you've got to take into the performance. If it was just a total horrible performance, 2-0, an absolute battering, where you couldn't see any players doing anything in the game at all. But I don't think that was the case. I think, as I said earlier, I think Aberdeen had more than one chance to win that game. They just kept making the wrong decisions all the time. But and you're in football, you're just looking for a wee rub of the green. You're somebody to do something a wee bit special. They've not had anybody because obviously they've not scored any goals. But I think there's something there that just need a click.
Okay, so respite for both managers and maybe the chance to draw a line in the sand. What do you think? Give us your thoughts on that as well. I was up at Tannadice for Dundee United against Kilmarnock. I certainly was predicting to you Dundee United were going to win. I thought they were going to win, but boy, I was so impressed with Kilmarnock. And Stuart Kettlewell, no surprise, was talking about a young man in the middle of the park who was an absolute joy to watch, David Watson.
I have to say, Peter, Davey's been like that since the first second I walked in. He's a lad that plays football with a smile on his face, plays with an aggression. He's got so much quality, and the bonus for him is his future's all ahead of him. The rest of his career's all ahead of him.
Really.
Remember where, Ruffy? Remember?
Yes, aye.
Where do you remember him from?
He's a member of our golf club. He plays up there.
I've seen him up there when I was up playing.
Yep.
Is he that well off?
Well, he's probably a 5-day membership.
I'll tell you one thing. I'd have him in the membership for our 6-a-sides because I like him. He was taking the ball in difficult positions. He was lifting his head.
Yeah.
He was spreading the ball, playing it forward. And sometimes, and you'll know this better than anybody, sometimes if you're a midfielder, the easy pass is the most difficult to make. And he set it nicely up for Bruce Anderson to finish to give him the lead. I
thought it was a brilliant goal. It is a basic pass, Peter, but it's just a nice little one into his path because he's coming back across the defender, which allows him to get back through his legs. I absolutely love that. So see, when you get good time, you know this when you're a striker and you think the defender's he's going to lunge because he's expecting you to get the strike, and then he rifles it back in the fact because the keeper's unsighted at that point. Yeah. And when he rifles it back, Anderson. But I do like Watson. I actually thought Anderson at the weekend was very lively also. So Kettlewell's got them going, playing in the right direction.
Yeah, and I feel that we should mention Stuart Kettlewell deserves a bit of praise because he took a real bit of flack. But I'll tell you one thing that was really good about it, Tam. They played good football. They passed it. The boy in the left back, Dominic Lewis-Thompson, he's probably the one player I've seen who could rival Nicky Cadden for playing a brilliant ball in from a full-back position moving forward.
Yeah, and they took 2 sore ones, Peter. Obviously the last-minute goal against Celtic, the penalty, and then got knocked out in the penalties to St Mirren. Yeah. In successive games. So I think he'll be delighted with that victory. I think it's a bit of a cooting buster. I think there's no many in here that predicted Kilmarnock to go up there and beat Dundee United, who have been flying, and scoring goals. So not a great result for Kilmarnock. They've like a lot of teams in the league, they've had quite a lot of draws, but that 1 win just shot them right up the table. So no, Stuart Kettlewell's doing a decent job there. He's got a decent squad of players as well. Yeah,
out of the predictions at the weekend, we got 4 out of the 6, Tam. I think Celtic Hibs, we certainly got that wrong. That one was the real coupon buster. You had them as your nap, didn't you?
I did. I fancied that's probably how they get beat, to be honest with you.
You're the Jonah. Yeah.
Jonah.
And of course, St Mirren just do what St Mirren do. They just keep winning. They defeated Dundee by a 1-0. Killian Phillips, as ever, impressive. We'll get Alex's thoughts on him in a moment. But here's Stephen Presley and Stephen Robinson.
frustration is that I said this to the group, and I've said it from day one, the importance of set plays. And when you come here, set plays are a big factor. They're very dangerous from them, but equally we've got to be super effective in the other box. And my frustration was that we defended the set plays with really good effect, but in an area that we worked very hard on, we let ourselves down. And set plays, trust me on this, can be the difference between you being a top 6 side and being a bottom 6 side.
Well, we're enjoying the run we're on. We're enjoying the momentum. We firmly refocused on the league again today after the cup, and we've got a really difficult game away to Killie, who had a tremendous result at Dundee United. So we stay grounded. We know there's always things we can improve at, and that's the secret to our relative success. Keeping pushing, never being happy. I've got a terrific bunch of players and staff that will continue to improve, and we're delighted we're a start, but we feel there's more to come.
Yeah, 3 wins out of 3. A man who, that when we had him in the studio here, said that, you know, while he likes the fact that everybody deals with data and Jamestown analytics and any other analytics that you want to live by, he's got a guy that he trusts with his life that he'd take into the trenches with him, and he goes and scouts them first.
Foley.
Is that his name?
Is that the boy? Martin Foley? Martin Foyle? Foyle. Yeah. The boy used to be down south. I think he was at Port Vale.
So if he says, by the way, this is the type of player you like,
yes,
he says, right, okay, you watch him and then watch him again, and then I'll go and watch him, and then we're off and running. And he's bought very few duds.
No, and that kind of relationship he has, that's why I know Martin for way back. I think he was a striker down at Port Vale years ago, a long time ago. And I think, so obviously he sits down with him and they actually discuss about the profile. You look at St Mirren players, they are very athletic, they're robust, they have a certain, you know, there's very few guys my size, they're all kind of big old units. And I actually really thought the goal that Phillips got at the weekend was excellent, because the boys dragged it across the goal and he's anticipated, he got across the line, and that was a deciding factor. Because, as I said, I think that they're a big team, St Mirren, and Elvis is just talking about the importance of actually coping with their physicality at set plays for and against. And it was the good bit of movement by Phillips that caused it. Again, it's a boy that kind of covers a lot of yardage within games, Phillips, and I think he can kick on.
Yeah, the reason why I like him, and this is where I like midfielders, who he's 25 yards out, Alec. If you stand off that boy, his automatic thought is, I'm going to have a dig.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Listen, see, the thing is, if you don't, it's interesting. I'm obviously working with a couple of young boys now, and I'm just trying to encourage, because it's like a dying art. You know, I'll give you an example. Last season, Callum McGregor scored 10 goals as a 6, and I would suggest the majority came from outside the box. You know, because he just picks it up and he has an ability to kind of find a corner, and that's an art in itself. It goes back to the old days. You know, you look at Steven Gerrard, Lampard. These guys were box to box, and I don't think enough players pull the trigger. But it's the right kind of execution, if you like. So I'm working with a couple of young boys at the moment, and it's so rewarding because we've actually managed to score a couple. Not that I'm taking credit, because they've still got to deliver. How the press is coming, and I was actually talking about. So see the one through the legs. I was actually talking to one of the boys the other day that, you know, because he likes to roll and let the ball run through his body, and at that point the defenders then scrambling to try and stop the shot. So he's thinking about going back through his legs and go, right, I've never thought about that. So it's these wee kind of things that kind of maybe make the difference, and it's like Elvis is saying, it could be the difference with picking up the points or not.
Yeah. Okay, guys, here's the team of the week. Give us your thoughts on it.
Peter's team of the week.
Yep. Oh, the good difference.
No input in this.
The great thing about running the place is you get a chance to pick it.
No, the difference is there's only one out of the. Well, you are assistant to Mark and you see players.
Yes.
There's only one of us actually goes to games physically at grounds and watches them.
Wow.
Really? In the last 13 years, I could write down on the back of a stamp anything that he sees, because he comes out midway through the first half, because sometimes the salad gets stuck in your teeth.
Yeah, you just let a bit of fresh air to clear it,
yeah. You know? And then
can I have a highlight team of the week?
A what?
If I'm watching the highlights, can I have a highlight team of the week?
Yeah, exactly. And Tam can't see it because there's too many people in the East Kilbride pub in front of him trying to get the other.
Trying to get a telly.
Trying to get the Amazon stick, you know. So
can't get a telly on the golf course.
Right. Okay. So yeah, exactly. So here's the team, right? Salinger,
great save, yeah.
Right. Okay. Stephen O'Donnell. Right back, Grant Hanley, Richard King at St Mirren, Dominic Lewis-Thompson at Kelly. The midfield, Alec Kizarides, David Watson, Elliot Watt, Killian Phillips, Bruce Anderson and Lawrence Shanklin up front. There are no Celtic and Rangers players in there because, you know, unless you're going to tell me different from your viewing.
No.
I actually find it quite refreshing, and it just says about how well Celtic and Rangers did at the weekend. You know, there wasn't really any standouts. Some decent performances, but these boys have turned it up.
I thought Conor Barron a decent game for Rangers yesterday, first half.
Yeah.
It's not enough to get
Are we getting them in for 45 minutes now?
not enough for that.
Okay. Right.
Half time team.
I'm sure we'll do that as a feature shortly. Here's the table. Here's how it looks. Alec, Rangers climbing up it now, and suddenly that noose that was hanging around his neck has loosened off.
Yeah, well, you look at it from 11th up to 3rd. And you know, what is it, 4 points? So a couple of wins, and it's important that teams. Did I hear that right? That St Mirren have won 3 in the bounce.
Yes.
So there you go. That's obviously last week was a cup. Yeah. But listen, the 3 wins out of 6 for St Mirren's a good return, 50% rate. So he'll be delighted with that.
Yeah.
But again, Rangers, for their perspective, they need to just keep winning games and try and claw back the top 2.
And if we are somewhere in January with Hearts still at the top, game on.
Yeah, listen, I'd be fascinated to see what they're doing, because the dynamics have changed. You know, you've got a new owner, you've got a new investor rather, who's willing to throw a few quid at. You mentioned the guy that's a gazillionaire that might want to throw a few more quid at, might get excited, might get Tam back out of retirement and throw a few quid at him.
Yeah. He's a gazillionaire. He's not somebody who can work miracles. And if Tam started hanging about with him, he'd go into administration and liquidation, because he's a Jonah. Listen, hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Hit the subscribe button if you can, because amazingly, fantastic the support we've had. But 70% of them, roughly, who watch this programme haven't subscribed yet. So there's a good core of people who just tune in but haven't yet hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, you would think with the extra stuff we're putting out as well. You know, we keep saying this. Nobody else is doing it.
You know,
so if you're going to watch it, you've got to watch us, because nobody else is going to give you it.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Absolutely.
Subscription button, do you know what that is?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Where is it?
He uses it for the night. Anyway, on that note, thanks to Alec, thanks to Ruff.
Anne Wood, thanks for watching.
And by the way, can I just say a big hello to Anne Wood, who basically watches the programme on a regular basis. Anne, we're absolutely delighted that you watch the programme, and certainly Tam, you were very, very
bumped into her last night. She's an avid fan.
Did you bump into her or bump into her daughter?
Bumped into both of them last night.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So to both of you, thank you very much. If you get a chance, Anne, because it looks as if you had a few quid, hit the subscribe button on PLZ Premium as well, and you'll get more. You'll get more. And if you want to try and wear some of the gear that we're all wearing, then why not have a wee look at our shop as well. Thanks for watching and listening.
Welcome to the PLZ Soccer Shop. 20 football legends, one incredible collection, canvas, prints, t-shirts. Pele, Maradona, Cruyff, Messi, Ronaldo. Wear them, frame them, celebrate them. From the pitch to your wall, they're yours. The Legends Collection, only at the PLZ Soccer Shop. Click the link and get yours now.
I know, man.